Picture this. A woman standing in an empty office at 2 a.m., surrounded by unpaid bills and canceled contracts, one phone call away from losing everything she's built. Now imagine the universe deciding that the only way to save her is to force her to work with the one person she swore she'd never speak to again. This is a story about dreams dying slowly, about pride getting in the way of survival, and about how sometimes the person who knows exactly how to push your buttons is the same person who can remind you why you had buttons worth pushing in the first place. This is the story of Harper and Colt, and it starts with a wedding that almost didn't happen. Harper Mitchell had exactly 14 days to say her business, though she didn't know it yet. She sat in her office, happily ever after wedding planning, and the irony wasn't lost on her. The space was beautiful once. Cream walls lined with photos of happy couples, elegant centerpieces displayed on antique tables, a desk she'd refinish herself from a barn sale. But beauty doesn't pay the bills, and Harper's bills were stacking up like storm clouds. She stared at her laptop screen, the blue light harsh in the darkness. 2:47 a.m. Another sleepless night, counting debts instead of sheep. 6 weddings canceled this year. 3 couples who decided to go with someone more established. 2 who said they were going in a different direction. 1 who just ghosted her entirely. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she drank it anyway. Punishment, maybe, or just stubbornness. The town of Willow Creek, Montana, had 3 wedding planners. Harper was the youngest, the newest, the one without family connections or old money backing her. She'd opened this business 3 years ago with a small business loan, massive dreams, and the kind of optimism that only comes from not knowing how hard things really are. Now she was 30 days from defaulting on that loan. And in a town this small, failure wasn't just financial. It was public. It was watching people's eyes slide away from yours at the grocery store. It was becoming the cautionary tale mothers told their daughters about following your dreams. Harper's phone buzzed, making her jump. A text from her landlord. Rent is due Friday. Can't extend again. Sorry. She set the phone down carefully, like it might explode, and that's when her email dinged. One new message, subject line, wedding inquiry, Triple Creek Ranch. Harper's heart stuttered. Triple Creek Ranch. The biggest property in 3 counties. Old money. Real money. The kind of wedding that could save her business and make her reputation in one sweep. Her hands shook as she opened it. Ms. Mitchell, my name is Charlotte Waverly. My fiancé, Daniel Reed, and I are planning our wedding for October 15th. I know that's only 4 weeks away, but our original planner had a family emergency and had to withdraw. We need someone who can execute our vision quickly and flawlessly. We're willing to pay premium rates for the right person. The ceremony and reception will be held at Triple Creek Ranch. If you're interested, please call me tomorrow morning. Time is of the essence. For weeks, premium rates, Triple Creek Ranch. This was it. This was everything. Harper immediately started typing a response, professional and enthusiastic, and trying not to sound desperate. Then she saw the second email. From Charlotte's fiancé, Daniel. Subject, important. Please read. Harper, Daniel Reed here. Looking forward to potentially working with you. Just a heads up. My best man is handling a lot of the logistics on the ranch side. You'll be coordinating closely with him on setup, timing, guest accommodations, etc. His name is Colt Bannister. I believe you 2 know each other. He mentioned you grew up together. Should make things easier, right? Dan. Harper stared at the name like it might rearrange itself into different letters. Colt Bannister. Now, to understand why Harper's coffee mug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the hardwood floor, you need to understand Colt Bannister. And to understand Colt, you need to go back 17 years to the Willow Creek Elementary School talent show, where 10-year-old Harper performed a carefully choreographed dance routine and 10-year-old Colt sat in the front row making faces and laughing until she ran off stage crying. But it didn't start there, and it didn't end there. Throughout school, there were oil and water, fire, and gasoline. Every class project became a competition. Every group assignment, a battlefield. When Harper won the 8th grade science fair, Colt accused her of having her engineer father help her. When Colt got the lead in the school play, Harper loudly wondered if they were just giving it to him out of pity. Junior prom, Harper showed up with decorations she'd spent weeks planning. Colt, on the decorating committee, had changed everything without telling her. They screamed at each other in the gymnasium, while their classmates pretended not to watch. Senior year, the final insult. Colt gave a speech at graduation about following your passion and not caring what anyone thinks, while looking directly at Harper, who just announced she was going to business school instead of art school like she'd always planned. She knew, everyone knew, he was talking about her, calling her a sellout, without saying the words. She didn't speak to him at graduation, didn't speak to him at any of the reunions. When he came back to Willow Creek 5 years ago to help run his family's ranch, she made sure their paths never crossed. And now the universe wanted them to plan a wedding together. Harper sat in the darkness, surrounded by broken ceramic and cold coffee, and laughed. Not a happy laugh. The kind of laugh that's one step away from crying. Then she looked at her bills again, at the eviction notice, at the business loan statement with its brutal red numbers. She picked up her phone and started typing. Charlotte, I'd be honored to help plan your wedding. I'll call you first thing tomorrow morning. Looking forward to working with your team. She hit send before she could change her mind. Then she opened a new message. To Daniel. Yes, Colt and I know each other. It'll be fine. Professional. No problem at all. 3 lies in 2 sentences. A new personal record. The next morning, Harper drove to Triple Creek Ranch with her best professional smile painted on and her stomach in knots. The ranch was 40 minutes outside town, nestled against the mountains like something from a postcard. Rolling pastures, white fences that actually stayed white, a main house that was somehow both rustic and elegant. Money. This place breathed it. Harper parked her Honda, with its check engine light that had been on for 6 months, next to a row of pristine pickup trucks that probably cost more than her car, her apartment, and her entire wardrobe combined. She checked her reflection in the rear-view mirror. Professional blazer, hair in a neat bun, minimal makeup, armor disguised as business casual. The gravel crunched under her heels as she walked toward the main house. Somewhere in the distance, horses whinnied. Closer, she heard men's voices, laughter, the sound of work being done. She knocked on the massive oak door. Charlotte Waverly answered, tall, blonde, effortlessly beautiful in the way people are when they've never worried about money. But her smile was genuine, her handshake firm. Harper, thank you so much for coming on such short notice. Come in, come in. The interior was stunning. Exposed beams, modern lighting, cowhide rugs on reclaimed wood floors. Western elegance perfected. Dan's out checking on some fence repairs, but he'll be back soon. And Colt should be. Right here. The voice came from behind Harper, and she didn't need to turn around to know. She'd recognize that voice anywhere. Low, drawling, carrying the ghost of smirk even in 2 words. She turned. Colt Bannister stood in the doorway, and Harper hated that 17 years had been extremely kind to him. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing dusty jeans and a work shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His hair was darker than she remembered, his jaw sharper, but his eyes, those impossible green eyes, were exactly the same. Still looked like they knew a joke you weren't in on. Harper Mitchell. He said her name like he was tasting something complicated. Been a while. Colt. She kept her voice neutral. Professional. Good to see you. His eyebrow raised slightly. They both knew she was lying. Charlotte looked between them, sensing something but not sure what. So you two really do know each other? That's wonderful. Makes everything so much easier. Oh, yeah, Colt said, leaning against the doorframe. Harper and I go way back. Best friends, basically. Harper's jaw clenched. We were classmates. Now Harper, Don't be modest. We were practically inseparable. Couldn't stand to be apart. Charlotte smiled, oblivious to the undertones. Well, this is perfect. Colt, Harper's gonna need a full tour of property, help figuring out the best ceremony location, coordinated with vendors. Looking forward to it. Colt's smile was sharp. Me and Harper working together, just like old times. They spent the next 3 hours touring property, and if professionalism were an Olympic sport, Harper would have won gold. She took notes, asked questions, discussed logistics, all while Colt Bannister did his level best to get under her skin. You sure you can handle an outdoor wedding? He asked as they walked the north pasture. Seems complicated. Lots of variables. I've planned 12 outdoor weddings, Harper replied coolly. I think I can manage. 12, wow. I've worked this ranch for 5 years. Run 300 head of cattle through these fields. Built most of these fences with my own hands. But sure, 12 weddings. That's impressive. She stopped walking, turned to face him. Is there a problem, Colt? No problem. Just making sure you know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. Do you? I know this ranch. Know every inch of this property. Know where the ground floods when it rains, where the wind picks up, where the sun hits at what time. You might know weddings, Harper, but I know this land. She stepped closer, and something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, that she wasn't backing down. Then I guess we'll have to trust each other, she said. You know the land. I know weddings. We work together or we both fail. You threatening me, Mitchell? I'm stating facts, Bannister. They stared at each other, and for a moment Harper was 17 again, stubborn and angry, and convinced this man existed just to make her life difficult. Then Charlotte called from the house, breaking the spell. You two figure out the ceremony location? Working on it, they said in unison, then glared at each other for the audacity of speaking at the same time. This, by the way, was going to be a very long 4 weeks. Planning a wedding is complicated. Planning a wedding with someone who knows exactly which of your buttons to push? That's advanced torture. Day 3. Harper arrived at the ranch with fabric samples for the reception tables. Colt took one look at the pale pink and cream palette and said, "Looks like the inside of a cupcake." Harper responded that she wasn't aware he developed such refined taste living in a barn. They argued for 20 minutes about tablecloth colors before Charlotte gently suggested they were both right and maybe they could combine ideas. Day 7. They disagreed about the ceremony processional route. Colt insisted the original path Harper planned would put guests staring directly into the setting sun. Harper insisted her path had better aesthetic flow. They walked the route 4 times, arguing the entire way, until they realized, at exactly the same moment, that if they combined both routes, it would actually be perfect. Neither would admit the other had a point. Day 12, a vendor canceled. The florist had a family emergency and couldn't do the wedding. Harper spent 3 hours on the phone, increasingly desperate, while Colt watched with his arms crossed. "Any luck?" he finally asked. "No," Harper snapped. "Every florist within 100 miles is booked. It's peak wedding season." "What do you need?" "Arrangements, centerpieces, bouquets, ceremony arch flowers, things I can't just magic into existence." Colt was quiet for a moment. Then, "Meet me here tomorrow, 6 a.m. "Why?" "Just trust me." Harper didn't trust him, but she was out of options. The next morning, she arrived at the ranch at 5:55 a.m. to find Colt already waiting, 2 travel mugs of coffee in hand. He handed her one without a word. "Where are we going?" she asked. "You'll see." They drove in his truck, which smelled like leather and something woodsy, annoyingly pleasant, into the mountains. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Finally, Colt pulled off onto a dirt road Harper didn't even know existed. And then she saw it. A meadow, acres of wildflowers in full bloom. Black-eyed Susans, lupins, Indian paintbrush, wild roses. a riot of color and natural beauty that no florist could replicate. "Colt, we can harvest what we need," he said, staring straight ahead. "My family owns this land." Charlotte mentioned she wanted a rustic, natural feel anyway. "These will last a few days if we cut them right and keep them in water." Harper got out of the truck, walking into the meadow like she was in a dream. The flowers came up to her waist, swaying in the morning breeze. "This is—" She couldn't find the words. "Yeah." Colt stood beside her, hands in his pockets. "My mom used to bring me here when I was a kid. Called it her secret garden. She'd make flower crowns, press flowers for bookmarks." She paused. "She died 6 years ago. Cancer." Harper turned to look at him. "Colt, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." He shrugged, but she could see the grief he carried, the way mentioning his mother softened something in his face. "That's why I came back. To help my dad with the ranch. She made me promise. Said some things matter more than being right." He glanced at her. She was talking about my career. I was doing rodeo, traveling, winning. But she was right. This mattered more. Harper was quiet. Then, for what it's worth, that took courage. Coming back. Choosing family. "Yeah, well, you'd know about that, wouldn't you?" "What do you mean?" "Business school instead of art school. Choosing practical over passion. I was a jerk about it. At graduation. That speech." Harper stared at him. "You remember that?" "Harper, I remember everything. Every argument, every competition. Every time we made each other crazy." He picked a wild rose, twirling it between his fingers. "You were the only person who ever pushed back. Who didn't just agree with me or dismiss me. You challenged me. Made me better, even when I hated you for it." "I didn't hate you," Harper said softly. "Yeah, you did. I gave you plenty of reasons." She couldn't argue with that. They spent the morning harvesting flowers, working in comfortable silence, punctuated by occasional conversation. Colt showed her how to cut the stems at an angle, how to strip leaves without damaging the blooms. Harper told him about her business struggles, the fear of failure, the weight of disappointing everyone who believed in her. "This wedding," she finally admitted, "it's not just a job. It's my last shot." Colt stopped cutting, looked at her. "Then we'll make it perfect. Both of us." Something shifted between them that morning. The hostility didn't disappear. They still argued about decorative details and logistical planning. But underneath it, something new grew. Respect, maybe, or the memory of why they'd gotten under each other's skin in the first place. Because they actually cared what the other thought. Day 18. The wedding was 9 days away, and everything was falling apart. The caterer called to say their refrigeration truck broke down. The sound system rental company double booked. A storm forecast threatened the outdoor ceremony. And Harper's car finally died completely in the ranch driveway, check engine light vindicated at last. She sat on the porch steps of the main house, head in her hands, trying very hard not to cry. Colt found her there. "Your car's dead." Very observant. "I can fix it." "Probably. Don't you have cattle to wrangle or fences to mend or whatever cowboys do?" "Already done." "It's 3 p.m. Harper. I've been working since 4 a.m. She looked up at him, standing there in dusty jeans and a t-shirt, looking tired but solid, and something in her chest cracked. "I can't do this," she whispered. "What?" "This wedding. It's too much. Too many things going wrong. I'm going to fail, and Charlotte and Dan are going to hate me, and my business is going to close, and Harper. And everyone in town is going to know I couldn't make it, and my parents were right. I should have just gotten a normal job, and Harper." Colt sat down beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. "Look at me." She did, and his eyes were serious. No mockery, no teasing. "You're not failing. You're problem solving. That's what this job is. Constant problems, constant solutions. And you're good at it. Really good." "How would you know?" "Because I've watched you handle every crisis this week. The vendor cancellations, the logistics nightmares, the bridezilla moments Charlotte definitely had about the napkin colors. You didn't fall apart. You found solutions. You made it work. But what if I can't this time? Then I'll help you. That's what I'm here for. She laughed, watery. Since when are you here to help me? Since... He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. Since I realized that making you fail wouldn't make me succeed. Since I figured out we're better working together than working against each other. Since I remember that you're the most stubborn, infuriating, brilliant person I've ever met. And if anyone can pull off a miracle, it's you. Harper's breath caught. Colt, yeah. Did you just compliment me? Don't let it go to your head. But he was smiling, really smiling. And Harper realized with sudden clarity that she'd been falling for him for the past 3 weeks and hadn't even noticed because she was too busy trying not to. That evening, they worked together in a ranch barn, making emergency backup plans for every possible disaster scenario. Colt fixed her car, just needed a new alternator and battery, and also about 12 other things. Jesus, Harper, when was the last time you did maintenance? Harper coordinated with new vendors, called in favors, restructured timelines. At midnight, surrounded by planning spreadsheets and empty coffee cups, Charlotte found them. You two are still working? Weddings in 9 days, Harper said. We're making sure nothing else goes wrong. Nothing else will go wrong, Colt added. We got this. Charlotte smiled, a knowing smile. You know, when Dan first told me you two were childhood rivals, I was worried. But watching you work together, I think he was wrong. I don't think you were ever really rivals. I think you were always partners who just didn't know it yet. After Charlotte left, Harper and Colt sat in silence. Were we? Harper finally asked. Partners? I don't know what we were, but I know what we could be. And what's that? Colt turned to look at her, really look at her, and the air between them shifted. Honest? Scared out of my mind to find out. Here's what Harper knew about Colt Bannister. He'd sworn, loudly and publicly at their 10-year high school reunion, that he'd never fall in love. That marriage was a trap. Romance was a distraction, and he was perfectly happy alone with his ranch and his horses. She'd heard about it secondhand, but everyone in town knew. Colt Bannister, confirmed bachelor. So when he leaned closer, when his hand found hers in the darkness of the barn, when he whispered, Harper, I need to tell you something. She knew what was coming was either going to save her or break her. I was wrong, he said, about love, about not needing anyone, about being fine alone. I was wrong about a lot of things, but mostly I was wrong about you. I spent 17 years telling myself I couldn't stand you, that you were annoying and pretentious and too perfect. But the truth is I couldn't stand how much I noticed you, how much I cared what you thought, how much it mattered when you were mad at me or impressed by me or just there. Harper's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. Colt, I'm not good at this. The feelings thing, the vulnerability thing. But working with you these past few weeks, it's been the best part of my day. Every day, even when we're arguing, especially when we're arguing. And I know you're leaving after the wedding, going back to your office, your life, and this was just a job, but... Harper kissed him. She'd spent 17 years not kissing Colt Bannister, and now she was making up for lost time. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he stared at her. So you feel it too? I feel like I've been fighting the wrong battle, Harper said. I thought we were enemies. Turns out we were just two stubborn people who didn't know how to admit we wanted the same things, which are to be seen, to be challenged, to matter to someone who won't let us settle for less than we're capable of. Colt pulled her closer, tucking her against his chest. You matter, Harper Mitchell. You matter so damn much. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. Clear skies, gentle breeze, golden afternoon light that photographers dream about. Harper had been on site since 5 a.m., running on coffee and adrenaline, and something that felt suspiciously like joy. Everything was coming together. The wildflower arrangements were stunning. The ceremony site, nestled in the north pasture with mountain views, looked like something from a magazine. The backup plans they made stayed backup plans, and used but comforting. Colt found her right before the ceremony started, looking sharp in a suit that somehow made him more cowboy, not less. "You did it," he said. "We did it." "No, this was you. Your vision. Your hard work. I just made sure the horses didn't eat the flowers." Harper laughed. "Is that what you were doing?" "Among other things." He glanced around, making sure no one was watching, then pulled her behind an oak tree. "After this wedding, after everything settles, I want to take you to dinner. A real date, not a work meeting disguised as dinner. Colt Bannister, confirmed bachelor. Asking me on a date? Confirmed reformed bachelor. You reform me. I don't want to reform you. I like you difficult and stubborn. Good, because I like you impossible and perfectionist." They kissed again, quick and sweet, before Charlotte's mother called for everyone to take their places. The ceremony was perfect. Charlotte cried. Daniel cried. Half the guests cried. The wildflowers swayed in the breeze. The mountains watched in the distance, and Harper stood at the back, coordinating everything, and felt something she hadn't felt in months: pride. She'd done this. She'd made something beautiful happen. She'd saved her business. She'd saved herself. And she'd found something she wasn't even looking for. During the reception, as guests danced under string lights and the ranch glowed in the evening light, Colt found her again. "Dance with me?" "I'm working." "You're always working. Dance with me anyway." He pulled her onto the dance floor, and they swayed together, not quite in rhythm with the music, but perfectly in rhythm with each other. "So," Colt said, "you've got your big, successful wedding. Business saved. What's next?" Harper smiled up at him. "Honestly, I have no idea, and I'm okay with that." "You okay with not having a plan? Did I break you? Maybe you fix me. Or maybe we fix each other." Deep, very romantic. "Shut up and dance, cowboy." "Yes, ma'am." 3 months later, Harper Mitchell's office had a waiting list. The Triple Creek Ranch wedding had been featured in 2 magazines and a popular wedding blog. She'd hired an assistant, paid off her loan, even replaced her car with something that didn't require a prayer and a push start every morning. But the best part? Every Saturday, she closed the office early and drove to Triple Creek Ranch, where a certain stubborn cowboy taught her to ride horses, and she taught him that planning things wasn't the opposite of spontaneity. It was a foundation that made spontaneity possible. They still argued about everything, about nothing, about what to have for dinner, and whether the fence needed fixing, and whether wildflowers were better than hothouse roses. But now when they argued, they did it standing close enough to touch. And when one of them was wrong, which they both insisted was always the other person, they apologized with kisses. Charlotte and Daniel, watching them at a barbecue 6 months after the wedding, laughed. "They're perfect together," Charlotte said. "They're disasters together," Daniel corrected. "What's the difference?" Harper and Colt, overhearing, looked at each other and smiled. And that's the thing about love stories, especially the real ones. They're not about perfect people finding each other. They're about difficult people deciding that being difficult together is better than being easy alone. Harper Mitchell and Colt Bannister spent 17 years as rivals because they were too young and too proud to see what everyone else eventually saw: that they matched, that their sharp edges fit together, that the person who drives you crazy is sometimes the same person who drives you home. A year after the wedding, Colt proposed, with wildflowers, naturally, in the secret meadow his mother loved. And when Harper said yes, because of course she said yes, the first thing he said was, "You're planning our wedding, right? Because I don't trust anyone else." "I'm planning it with you," she corrected. "We're partners now." Been partners the whole time, Mitchell. Just took us a while to figure it out. She kissed him there in the meadow, surrounded by flowers and mountains and the kind of light that makes everything look like a promise. Yeah, she said, it did. And somewhere in a small town in Montana, two former rivals planned a wedding that would be legendary. Not because it was the biggest or the fanciest, but because it was theirs. Built on arguments and compromises, stubbornness and surrender, and the understanding that the best love stories aren't about becoming different people. They're about becoming yourselves, together.
For more beautiful stories, kindly like, share, comment, and subscribe.